Good morning and welcome back to Mojospresso, a caffeine-inspired shot of inspiration and perspective to help you on your Friday, with the goal to win the morning and win the day. Thanks to DC Coffee for getting us through the last 14 weeks. This is called B-Side we're drinking this morning, which is from Labareda, Brazil, and Armenia, Colombia. So get around it. I hope you've got your espresso or your magic or your latte or your long black as we kick things off. Okay, Melbourne, we did it. 4 months of pain, and there's 5 million of us dancing in the street. 3 cheers to us. Our original idea was to take Mojospresso to Melbourne's famous cafe culture, coffee shops. So hopefully now we might be able to actually do that one day. This is actually our last episode for Mojospresso for season 1. So thanks for keeping us company for the last 14 weeks. It's been a hoot. We didn't actually think we'd make it past our first pilot episode. We thought the execs would call us into their boardroom, especially given how much I was also shitting myself for that first episode. So happy we made it through the last 4 months. And so please, if you can, leave us a comment after today's show, especially A, if you'd like us to go to a season 2 next year, and B, maybe also what you got out of the season. For a fledgling mindset movement, your feedback is really important to us. In fact, it's everything to us. We also finished our last masterclass for season 2020 on Tuesday night with awesome feedback. So thanks to the 1,600 people who attended the last 2 events across 14 countries, especially California, who got up at 1:30 in the morning. We'll let you know when the digital mentor is available to download. Okay, to our last theme for season 1, which is around vertical and horizontal relationships, inspired by one of my favorite books, The Courage to be Disliked. And in any situation or conditions of our lives, we tell ourselves one of 2 stories. Either I'm enough or I'm not enough. And if we tell ourselves that second story, that I'm not enough, we're accidentally, inadvertently, unconsciously creating a vertical relationship between ourselves and the other person. Yeah, and we're all doing this, by the way, which means we either put ourselves below others, which at its extreme is an inferiority complex, or we're putting ourselves above others, which at its extreme is a superiority complex. But they both come from the same place, feeling like we're not enough. Yeah. When we put ourselves below others, we're effectively comparing ourselves against others or judging ourselves against others. And we're coming up short, believing we are inferior. This often results in us going to silence in a room, or we might just want to run away from a situation or a relationship, or we feel we have to be the pleaser in a relationship, or we think we've got to kiss ass to the boss or whoever it is. Yeah. In the sports industry, we've got player rankings and we've got team ladders. In the education system, we've got ATARs and grades. But if you attach your self-worth to those rankings rather than just objectively accepting that's where we're at, it's not who we are, you're inadvertently ranking your self-worth accordingly, saying we're not good enough, which is screwed up. And that shame just dresses up in different costumes, depending on the different conditions of our life and the different relationships that we're in. We might be comparing ourselves on social media, believing we're not good enough, or physical appearances, telling ourselves we're not good looking enough. We might be through school ATAR rankings saying we're not smart enough, or do you have friendship groups believing that we're not liked enough? And it's important to note that the conditions of our lives are constantly changing. So in different conditions, we may be actually telling ourselves different stories depending on the triggers in these different relationships. In some conditions, I might be telling myself I'm enough. In another relationship, I might be telling myself that I'm not enough. Sometimes I put myself below others, and sometimes I put myself above others. Either way, when we go inferior and we think we have to fit in to what we think others expect of us, right, and try and be that person, we lose our only competitive advantage in life. We lose our authenticity, because there's only one you. But we're also putting ourselves above others, which I said at its extreme is a superiority complex. And when we overcompensate like this, we might be name dropping, we might try and take over a meeting, we might try and dominate a person or a conversation, or say I all the time, or we might just be showing up in a quite an arrogant or obnoxious way. The trick is to catch yourself when dealing with interpersonal relationships to see if you're creating a vertical one or a horizontal one. Yeah, catch your emotions. Next time you get angry or frustrated at that barista for taking longer than you expected, just ask yourself, am I putting myself above this person? Am I creating a vertical relationship in this situation? And we're all guilty of doing this, by the way. When I joined Nike, I thought I had all the power in the world. I thought it was all about me, whether I sponsored an athlete or not. And I disappeared up my ass in arrogance initially, until one of my favorite athletes, Steve Monaghetti, quickly let me know and put me back in my place. Yeah, my vertical relationship came from this not enoughness story, which manifested me putting myself above others and thinking I had all the power in the relationship. The antidote to vertical relationships is horizontal relationships, because with horizontal relationships, everyone is equal. Yeah, we're different, but we're equal. We look different. We come from different backgrounds. We look differently on an org chart in terms of the employee, employers. We might play different roles on a team or in a company. We might have different abilities, different backgrounds or different financial statuses, but we're all fundamentally equal. Yeah, when we create horizontal relationships, there's no need to put ourselves above or below. Yeah, we no longer tell ourselves we're not enough. And there's a beautiful humility from knowing we're neither better or worse. Yeah, there's no value judgment. We're all just fundamentally equal. In horizontal relationships, everyone's just on their own journey, and it's not a competition. You might be a mentor or someone getting mentored. Yeah, you might reach out as a friend to give help or ask a friend for help. Either way, it doesn't matter. Yeah, parent or child, employer, employee, a paid working husband or a family raising wife. Everyone is fundamentally equal. Yeah, we all have our lives and our life tasks, and part of the process of creating horizontal relationships is to let go of interfering in other people's life or life tasks and stop them from interfering in your life and your life tasks. For example, what other people think about you is not your life task. Yeah, it's none of your business. You can't control it anyway. So just say from now on, that is not my life task. When you let go of that interference, you let go of craving recognition, caring what others think about you, and you care more about what you think about yourself, which you can control, and therefore that is your life task. Yeah. In that way, you've got the courage to fall down, get up again, the courage to go after your goals and dreams. You've got the courage to be disliked. Right? You don't want to be disliked, but you've got the courage to be disliked. You say, this is me, this is who I am. Yeah, today, we're all interfering emotionally, financially, physically, and we're making these opinions and judgments of others, and it's creating so much unnecessary noise, manifesting in these vertical relationships. Yeah. So how do you move from vertical to horizontal relationship? Well, the first step is to simply say, what is my intention? Yeah, am I creating a vertical relationship or not? Yeah, but another way to diagnose is simply by asking, how do I show up when I'm afraid or anxious or nervous or frustrated? Yeah, do I go to silence, put myself below others, or do I go to violence, put myself above others? Do I go to fight or do I go to flight? Yeah, do I go all quiet and timid and blush? Or do I go the other way, try and take over a room and dominate? We're all different in different conditions. Our interpersonal relationships change. So today, maybe just try to identify how you're showing up in your relationships and experiencing anxiety in a relationship. The next step is to identify when you're creating vertical relationships by asking, in which conditions do I say I'm not enough or tell myself a certain story? Is it when I feel like I'm being judged? Yeah, when I walk into a room and everyone's staring at me? When I compare myself against others? Or tell myself a story that I don't belong? Yeah. Now, ask yourself, the next time that happens, what can I say to myself in real time that will enable me to hold my ground and stand tall rather than go small? Yeah. The mantra you create can unlock the freedom to create horizontal relationships wherever you go, unconditionally. Yeah, it might be as simple as I am worthy, or I am enough, or I've got this. It might just be, fuck it, I know I'm a good person, just be me. Yeah, work out what works for you that shifts relationships from vertical to horizontal. Many years ago, I was on the board of the Homeless World Cup, and the CEO of The Big Issue, Steve Person, told me this beautiful story about a Brazilian prostitute who had spent her whole life putting herself below others in that inferiority complex. And each Sunday morning, she used to come down and sit on the back of the park bench and watch the homeless play soccer on the basketball courts. And they'd encourage her to play, but she'd never do it. She never believed she was good enough. Anyway, one morning, she took off her bling and took off her high heels, and she started playing soccer. And for the first time in her life, right, she was no longer a prostitute. She was this little girl who just fell in love with the game. And she was really good, so much so that they got her a pair of runners, and she'd come back every Sunday morning and play street soccer with the other homeless people. Right? And she actually made the Homeless World Cup team for Brazil that actually won the Homeless World Cup that year. But in the crowd was some FIFA delegates who couldn't believe her talent. They got her off the streets, got her into her home, and got her to start believing in herself, accepting herself, and creating horizontal relationships. Well, that girl actually made the squad for the Brazilian national team, which 2 years later won the World Cup. And she is now a world champion. Now, I'm telling you that story not just for the power of sport and the power of self-belief, but also the power of just being kind. Because there's some golden rules for creating horizontal relationships. The first one is respect people with less power than you. One of my favorite comedians, Tim Minchin, once said that he has in the past made important decisions about people he works with, agents or producers, big decisions, based on the way they treat the wait staff in the cafe they're having the meeting with. Yeah, I love that. He says, I don't care if you're the most important cat in the room. I will judge you by how you treat the least powerful. So there. Yeah. The second rule is just stop interfering in other people's lives and life tasks, and stop them interfering in yours. From now on, you say, that is not my life task. As just saying that can set you free from so much emotional and psychological interference. Yeah. And finally, I saw a quote from Quincy Jones when I was researching this week, who said, not one drop of my self-worth depends on your acceptance of me. Yeah. When we accept ourselves as fundamentally equal, just not the same, we let go of caring what others think of us. When we let go of caring what others think of us, we stop craving recognition of others. And when we stop craving recognition of others, we stop letting others interfere in our life tasks, and we stop interfering in theirs. And when we do that, we stop comparing ourselves and we start accepting ourselves. You still care about others. You just stop caring what they think of you. You focus only on what you think of yourself. And hopefully you think of yourself as an equal, and everyone else the same way. Yeah. So that's it for another season of Mojospresso. We have loved having you on the Mojospresso journey. Hope you've had as much fun as we've had. What started out with a phone has evolved into a small camera attached to a step-up ladder, which has now evolved to filming on a 2-angle video with a nice-looking microphone, as you can see. We've got some exciting plans for next year, but until then, I want to say a big shout out to everyone in Melbourne. It's the first time I'm wearing a t-shirt and we're actually allowed out on the streets. I'd like to bring Ash Lim up on just to let you know who he is. Ash is our Chief Storytelling Officer at Mojo Crow, who's actually put this whole season together. So I'll let Ash do a final farewell for season 1.
As Crow would say, we'll love you and leave you and see you on the other side in the soup.
Have a great day, everyone. All the best.